Our next guest is Adam Rosen, startup mentor and founder of Email Outreach Company.
Welcome to Office Hours. I'm David Meltzer here at the SiriusXM studios at the Wynn in Las Vegas, and I'm here with three of my heroic friends trying to help me with my mission of empowering over 1 billion people to be happy. Greg Kimball, Sean Rais, and the incredible John Asroff. Thank you guys to help me on my mission. Thank you very much for being here.
Our pleasure.
Thank you for having
us.
Well, we are blessed because this is an unsung hero. His name's Adam Rosen. He's a serial entrepreneur. He works with me closely. He's the co-founder and CEO of Email Outreach Company, an area that so many people overlook in the success that we can have by connecting to the decision makers in the areas, the subject matter and topics and expertise in which we would love to provide value. Adam Rosen, welcome to Office Hours.
Thank you for having me.
So I'm going to start with a basic question. Why do people overlook email?
I was actually just having this conversation backstage. There's a lot of marketing that can kind of feed into the ego a lot more and to get us excited about, like, being in front of a camera like this, or, being famous on Instagram and social media. But a lot of times we overlook kind of what's always worked. And one of those things is email. But a lot of times we think about email as that thing I don't want to check in the morning, where I'm getting a bunch of spammy emails or promotions I don't want to hear about. And we forget about the power that email can have if it's done effectively. Because at the end of the day, all email is about connecting party A to party B, which is really what all marketing is in general. So I think it's often overlooked, but can be one of the most powerful ways that any business owner, business leader can use to get further along in their business.
And in that measure, Greg Kimball, is one of the aspects which I really focus in on to teach people is we forget about how important it is to get people to get back to us, because we have such a great capacity to reach so many people all at once that statistically, if we get people to get back to us, twice as many people get back to us, not only will I have twice as many sales, but I actually get better at selling, so I'll have more than twice as many sales. And email is actually the easiest and fastest way to get back to someone. Mm-hmm. So we're actually working within the efficiencies of a system that's been around for over 30 years. Do you use email?
I do.
Well, go ahead and get the expert for your help.
I often say, in a world where everybody is connected, no one's connecting, because, we're trying to automate compassion. We're trying to automate the ever living daylights out of connecting in a meaningful way. And I think that we have these things, a lot of people are talking about AI right now. I have really two questions, one clarifying question, one curiosity question. What is the role of AI that is, obviously kind of probably at this point, a billion-pound gorilla in the room with any technology? How does that play into what you're doing to where you can actually still connect in a meaningful way with people? And then in your business, I love asking entrepreneurs, because everyone kind of wants to talk about the fluffy stuff, but realistically, entrepreneurs are like, we're running scared all the time. We're trying to figure things out. We're, a lot of people say jumping off the cliff, building the parachute or the plane on the way down. What scares you as an entrepreneur? And how do you get through that? Because I think it helps a lot of people. And then in your industry specific thing, what role is AI playing right now? So those are my two questions.
Yeah, great question. So I'll start with the heart question first in terms of what gets you by, because it is true.
Yeah.
I remember my anchor investor, my first tech startup, he said to me, Adam, you're going to feel like you are holding on tight to a branch and you were in a hurricane and you were just swaying back and forth and back and forth. And you're just hoping to hold on tight.
Welcome to entrepreneurship.
Exactly.
101.
In the decade I've been an entrepreneur, I don't think I've ever heard anything that feels more accurate.
Yeah.
And the reality is for me, I always think about this could be taken away at any moment tomorrow. And that fuels me to want to get more as quickly as possible, because tomorrow is not given.
Yeah.
And as an entrepreneur, you are going to fail over and over and over again. You are going to embarrass yourself over and over and over again. But the only way you can get to that next step and over that hurdle is if you do embarrass yourself, if you do take risk, and then you learn from that risk to hopefully be a better person, better leader the next day. So that's more of the heart question. When it comes to AI has a major impact on everything that we do. And I think part of the problem with technology growing and automation growing and AI growing is it allows us as humans to become lazier. And I think we all see it, just speaking specifically to email today, our inboxes are probably worse than ever. When in reality, our inboxes should be better than ever. Like, I think it's actually the golden age when it comes to email marketing, when it comes to what I do, which is more specific around cold email, because we have more tools at our dispense. However, if you don't use the technology properly, it's going to come across to the end user like you are being lazy and like you don't actually care about them. So AI has a ton to do with what we do, but you have to use it right because people can see the difference.
I think that's one thing that people need to remember is if you're the greatest salesman in the world, you're going to make a lot of money, but no one's going to know who you are. If you're an average marketer, everyone knows your name. Like, marketing is really, really important. And email coupled with all these technologies is just so powerful. So thanks for answering that question. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Very good. When it comes to building a personal brand, because that's what we do, personal branding and leadership development, we work with a lot of executives and entrepreneurs who are transitioning, right? And I think a lot of people don't know, I started my business in the basement of a job that I hated, right, with a BlackBerry. And this is the thing that I would do. I would travel for like 4 hours on the Long Island Railroad to the Bronx, New York. Dungeon, right? I would go downstairs, I would shoot videos on the BlackBerry. And then I would go upstairs, and before I would clock in officially, I would send an email to the list that I had. And it was a small list, but it was an intimate list. So I think people lose the intimate. I think people lose the personality in trying to build a brand. They just want to be big. But they lose. I always say that God is in the details, but the devil exists there too. Right? So if you're in the details, you can be such a force for good, but if you omit the details, then you can turn into evil and bad can overtake your business, right? So how important is it to, as you grow big, still stay personal and create the connection with your audience that's intimate and that tells your story and makes them feel it as opposed to read it or just see it?
I am by no stretch an expert in personal brand at all. It's probably one of the areas I've struggled the most in terms of doing it at scale.
Should talk to Sean.
Good. And I've got you and you've got me. Yeah, let's go.
Sounds like a partnership made in heaven.
I love it.
But the one thing I've always tried to do when it comes to personal branding is on a one-to-one, so very micro setting. Like, I remember one of my mentors, he told me a long time ago, he said, it takes you a lifetime to build your reputation and just a moment to lose it.
Higher the level, the greater the devil. We didn't see that with Will Smith in one of his greatest moments.
Do you ever miss your BlackBerry?
I love the BlackBerry.
Oh man, let me tell you, it was such a hard
the
switch.
Buttons, the clicking?
Yeah, it was a hard pivot for me because it was from the BlackBerry and I resisted change. But I moved to the Android first, still resisting change. But then the power of the brand brought me to Apple.
Yeah.
Never looked back. And the power of the brand decimated.
I agree. I resisted Word from WordPerfect.
Yeah.
Resisted from BlackBerry ThinkPads. That's all I would use.
Yeah.
And I probably have sold more Apple products because of brand.
And
Buying from a company and selling for them, that's a real brand.
Yeah.
And I think so many of us do that for Apple and Amazon, especially.
Wow.
For sure.
Powerful.
Speaking of buying from and selling for, I'm buying from John Asroff, whatever he has and selling for him, because what you give to people is extremely valuable quantitatively.
Thank you. First and foremost, we are wired to resist change.
Yes.
So the only human that likes change is a wet baby.
That's
The
where I got
the rest of us resist it like crazy.
That's a nugget right
I was
there.
wondering where I got that
We
saying from.
resist
Now I
that.
remember.
So, Adam, I'm also a fellow entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur as well, who does millions of emails a month. So I understand the game a little bit. The area I would like to tap into, I coach hundreds of small business owners at a time. And one of the things that I specialize in is helping them with their mindset. And I loved your analogy. I wrote it down. It's like, if you're an entrepreneur, it's like holding on to a branch in the middle of a hurricane and you have no idea how long it's going to be, but all you know is when that stops, there's another one coming. So I love that visual. I'm going to borrow it from you and give you credit. You mentioned, failing, disappointment. You mentioned over and over and over. And I learned many years ago when I was becoming an entrepreneur at 19, which is 44 years ago, that just because I failed doesn't mean I am a failure. What I did failed, and maybe it was the wrong strategy, the wrong timing, the wrong something. How have you learned to frame, failure, disappointment, and keep moving forward to achieve the ultimate vision and goal that you and your investors or your partners have had?
Anyone who has done anything in this world's history, one of the few common denominators they all share is that they failed over and over and over again. And for me, I've always been kind of obsessed with studying people that have done amazing things. I don't care if it's related to entrepreneurship, philosophy, wellness, you name it. Anyone who's accomplished anything at a top level, I have a ton of respect for. And I don't care who you are, they've all failed over and over and over again. So for me to be naive enough to think, oh, I'm not going to fail or I'm too good to fail, for me, that it's a very humbling thing to see. Like, yeah, everyone has failed. And what are you going to do? Go sit in a corner and cry and say, poor me? No, get up, take the lessons from it and get better. In every movie we watch, there's a high, there's a low, and then hopefully a high again. So that's kind of how I look at it. And everyone I've looked at, George Washington, one of my favorite quotes is perseverance and spirit have done wonders in all ages. And what they had to persevere through, what so many others have had to persevere through, is nothing compared to what I have to persevere through now. It's like, I'm so damn lucky.
Yeah.
So,
True.
But they all have one thing in common besides all failing, all great successful people, billionaires, millionaires, entrepreneurs, celebrities, athletes, entertainers. They all have a desire that they must be what they can be because they don't lack commitment. It'll only be the lack of commitment in the meaning that you give those failures that will limit your own self-image. And we never will overachieve our own self-image. I highly suggest you reaching out not only to my co-host, but to the incredible Adam Rosen. You can check him out at Email Outreach Company. He will change your business and change your life, as we are trying to do here on Office Hours.